take some questions.
All right, Todd, you got your seat. All right, we'll open it up to the media now. I ask that you please identify yourself when you get the mic. Patrick Crawford from our staff is over there. So our first question will go to Matt Nestor from the Columbia Daily Tribune.
Coach, I was just curious how big of a jump you think it is to the SEC and what you think you need to do to get to that the level of being able to compete in that league.
Yeah, to get to the SEC, the competition in the SEC, that's what drives me to be here. I want to be in the best baseball conference in the country, and I want to compete at that level. And I want our guys to understand what it's like to compete at the highest level. I'm not intimidated by the SEC, and our players will never be intimidated by the SEC. I can guarantee you that. And that's the mindset that starts from day one. And I feel very confident about us being able to compete very early.
Next question goes to Dave Matter from the St. Louis Post-Dispatch.
Hi, Steve. Mack, when you were looking at candidates, how much did you value head coaching experience, and how did Steve's experience at SEMO kind of resonate with you?
Thank you, Dave. You value, obviously, head coaching experience, but it wasn't the ultimate criteria. If you look at just track record in terms of coaching hires, we've hired coaches that have been head coaches and some that have not, and so I try not to let that take me down any certain path and have a wide open mind going into it. And certainly it was a feather in his cap that he'd been a head coach and been successful as a head coach, but it was more about I think his ability to develop a program, put a program together, and again we can win here. There's no question in my mind, and we weren't going to talk to anybody that didn't think that they could win at Missouri in the SEC, and we're going to do that, and it will be a journey, but we fully expect to win here.
Next question goes to Andrew Hodgson from the Columbia Missourian. Jeff City now. I'm sorry, you switched papers.
Coach, one of the biggest challenges with the job is the location relative to the other SEC schools, specifically like in the first month of the season. Is that something that you consider, and how do you deal with that challenge?
Thanks. That's an advantage for us, because what I want tough-minded kids that the weather's not going to affect. And the tougher that we can be, we're going to be outside just like everybody else is outside that time of the year. 30 to 32 degrees in January is not going to phase us whatsoever. We're going to be out there practicing, playing. We know that we're going to play cold games throughout the year, and we've got to learn to train in it. So the weather where we're located, that's not an issue to me.
Next question goes to Todd Palmer from the Kansas City Star.
Hey, Coach, how are you?
Hi, Todd.
Have you had a chance to kind of assess this roster, and what gives you that confidence that you guys can turn things around pretty quick and be competitive?
Yeah, and obviously I think every coach immediately looks at the roster to try to figure out what's there, what's needed, and that's the most important thing, is we got to figure out where are those gaps and what do we need to add, and those are things that we're looking at right now. The second part of that question, what was that again?
What gives you the confidence you can be competitive pretty quickly with this group?
Yeah, what gives me the confidence is the way we're going to go about it. It's the process, and we need a there's no lie. We need a deeper roster than where we are right now. I mean, that's a fact, and we're gonna create a deeper roster, and it starts with winning, and you've got to be able to go out and win ball games, and we're gonna find ways to win. And I think the one thing that we're going to as a staff that we're going to be able to develop is offensively. I think that we can really do some things. We saw some guys take a step back last year offensively, but we've seen it in year one in their freshman season that they were able to compete and have really good years. And the goal is to get them to bounce back, immediately in their third year of competition. And that's where you see a lot of guys make a big jump. So to me, that's exciting to have that roster.
And Mack, I wanted to ask you, a couple months ago we were talking to you about whether you thought you'd done enough with the program from your end to make things competitive here. What do you guys have any plans on things you can do from either a fundraiser or infrastructure standpoint to help him reach his goals?
Yeah, I mean, we're in the process of all those discussions, and certainly with Coach and all the candidates, we talked about, the future of Mizzou baseball and what does that mean, and it starts with giving him and providing him the ability to put together a great staff, and what we do there salary wise, and then taking a look at the operational budget and making sure that the budget is right, and he has all of those things necessary to go out and recruit and find players and travel the right way. And so there's certainly that commitment. And then we'll take a look at at the facility piece and look at some short-term things. And there's been some discussion about the field surface here, and is that something that we take care of immediately right away as quick as possible, and then looking at the overall the stadium. And so we've had all of those discussions, and again we'll have more discussions about what becomes a priority and what's short term and what's long term.
Next question goes to Joe Walljasper from the Columbia Daily Tribune.
Steve, I think Missouri's probably lagged a bit behind the rest of the SEC in fan interest or attendance. What do you see as the coach's role in improving that?
Being visible is the most important thing. I think being out in the community helps. I think it starts with our student body, of creating some interest inside the student body, and I think there's things that we can do here that we've seen, that I've seen competing against other SEC schools when I was at Southeast, of what they do, how they generate that fan interest, and finding, what they call party decks and stuff like that, of being able to do something like that to get interest and get people out. Because I think once we can start getting people out and we can get that momentum going where we're winning ball games, it's an exciting atmosphere, it's a great place to be, more and more people follow, and that's the goal.
And just from the recruiting aspect, how does that change going from the OVC to the SEC? Is it a different kid you're recruiting, or kind of sum that up?
No, it's definitely not a different kid that we're recruiting. We recruited the same guys. We just never landed those guys. So we're going to go after the same guys. And now I feel very confident that we can land a lot of those guys. And that's the good part about this program and this team. I've recruited probably 60% of these guys. Some of them wouldn't talk to me, but I recruited them. So now they have to talk to me. So we'll get them.
Next question goes to Dave Matter.
Steve, I think it was 10 years ago when you led Vianney to state championship on this field. At that time, did you envision something like this in the future? I mean, how long has this been a real possible dream for you?
You can ask my wife that question, but when I left pro baseball in 2001 and took the job immediately there at Vianney High School, I knew the level that I wanted to coach, and it was college baseball. Had opportunity to stay in pro baseball and coach pro baseball. I had no interest of starting back in the bottom of the minor leagues and working my way through. It's not a great family life, and my interest was especially when we came out here in year number 1 and won a state championship. I wanted to be back on this field, and I wanted to be coaching on this field. And I knew it was going to take a long time. Coach Jameson, a legend here, and was having great success, but knew I was just a little bit younger, and eventually it might happen. So that was kind of the goal of always getting back to this university and coaching this program.
Take a couple more. Next question goes to Blake Topmeyer in the back row with the Columbia Daily Tribune.
Mack, why was a 3-month buyout included in Tim Jameson's unsigned contract, and do you plan to include such language in future contracts?
Well, I mean, there's always buyout language in every coaching contract, and it's a matter of, what those conditions are, what those terms are, whether it's 3 months, whether it's a certain amount for 2 years, whatever. So those buyouts are always part of a contract. They'll be part of coach's contract. I told him this candidly. He's gonna owe us a lot of money if he wants to leave here in the first 3 years. So, but he'll have that as part of his, and with Coach Jameson, we were up front in terms of that extension, and that the buyout for him or for us, vice versa, was we're going to put it a small amount and see how things progressed.
Next question comes in the back row.
Hi, I'm Brooks Holton from the Missourian. I'm here in Columbia. Mac, did you talk to any boosters, and did you hear from them after the signing of Coach Bieser, and they have anything to say about it?
Yeah, I just think in practice, just general philosophy about head coaching searches. I mean, you're not talking to a whole lot of a lot of boosters in terms of, who they want to be the next head coach, etc. Hopefully you've got good enough relationship with them, and I think we do that they've got complete confidence that you're going to run the right type of search and hire and select the right type of person. We do call some of our donors ahead of time just to give them a heads up, and here's who we're going to announce as our head baseball coach.
Got time for one or two more. Anybody? All right. That's a wrap. Thanks for coming, everybody.
Thank you all.
Thanks.